that's gotta be annoying. Look at how pretty everything is outside. It's a beautiful day. Gave that to you, full stop with the voice crack and everything. Hey, what's up, garden friends? Jeff here. We do great wind, even inside. Have the fan there, because I was having the window open, letting some fresh air come in the house. Fish, there's some fish. Wobbly camera work, but you can see the fish. Plants on top of the tank, looking good. They could use a dusting, though. I need to do that. Okay, garden tour time. Starting from inside, because I always forget to talk about some of the stuff that's in the house. And then we can get outside. Look at that view. Just pretend the fan's not there. Look at that. Second floor. Great big palm tree out the window. Love it. I know, my desk is a mess. I have the grow light taken apart over here because I was thinking that this needs to... It just needs to go. This is a mess and I don't like it. I had to raise this grow light up onto a box to make it tall enough for the philodendron here. And I don't like the way that looks. So I took the top off. That's the only part that has a wire and it's this top piece. And I figure, well, I'll just put a clamp in here and just put that on the wall. That makes sense, right? Yeah, I don't know. Philodendron, Belate, been in the tank for quite some time now. By quite some time, I mean, I don't know, a few months. That's not that long. Kind of did that in a video this past winter. And I always forget to update on it. It's doing very well. Even with this light having been down for about 3 weeks. It's a project. I'll get to it. I also have a peperomia sitting over here that has not been too happy. I put it over here on top of the lights because it was too cold for it. In this bathroom in here where the peperomias usually do okay, but this year just not so much. Just been colder than normal. There's some sap on here. I do a bug check. That can happen too sometimes when you have plants that are getting a lot of water. Sometimes they'll excrete more. Doesn't necessarily mean there's pests. I haven't noticed anything on here. Pothos coming out the back. Just a little cutting from, I don't know, a couple of years ago. It hasn't done much, but this tank also, there's a lot of plants in it, so there's not a ton of stuff left for the plants to take in. Yep, don't judge the fish tank. I got some stuff to do. The fish are healthy, they're fine. That's all that matters right now. This guy was in a video, I don't know, a week or two ago. Had a big mealybug problem, and I mentioned that it's just one of those things where I was going to have to stay on top of it. So there's not really an update to give yet, but, well, here it is. I've seen a few more on here. You're trying to go through and just stay on top of it. And stay on top of it for like 2 months, and usually you can solve the problem. It's all about being able to handle the nests and everything, the egg masses. But really pretty variegated aquatic plant here. Isn't that beautiful? The Nubius, it's variegated king, Varking, something like that. It's just lovely. Don't mind the angelfish. They were fry. I had them in here as a grow out. They're going into a big tank probably this weekend. They had to get too big for the other fish that want them to get eaten. Okay, we can go outside now. Could have waited for that to close all the way. We'll start with the front, because I always forget the front. Planted up all these roses some time ago and did a big weeding. They're starting to come back, but I'd say it's still under control, as long as I stay on top of it. These are drift roses. They haven't done much yet. It's only been about a month, but I'm starting to get some new blooms on them, and it's really just a matter of making sure I get in here and stay on top of all these little guys. Backstory here, this whole area is new-ish, and it got filled in with very bad soil that was just full of weeds. So keeping this area looking nice has been a challenge. But it's going to get better. I did a big overhaul with it not too long ago. Look at the mahogany ipomia. Isn't it just stunning? I love this plant. It's my favorite of the sweet potato vines. I'm going to be planting a whole bunch of these next year. I'm going to plant them much earlier in the season too, so really get to see some nice growth on them. These hanging baskets have just been phenomenal. Not as much growth on the sweet potato vines on this side, and that's only because, well, this one doesn't get quite as much sun, but the begonia up here, I mean, this is huge. That's easily 4 feet across. Maybe even a smidge bigger. This is, I think, probably one of the biggest dragon wings I've grown out in one season. I didn't start from a small plant, though. Got these as hanging baskets. They're on sale, and they were already a decent size, but they're like probably a quarter the size. They've been wonderful. I have the front porch planters here that I would go ahead and say they were a hit and miss. Parts of them I really liked, parts of them not so much. The coleus was too much. I put these together using bamboo palms, some Carex Everfalls? Something, Featherfalls Carex. Some, Fiesta Caladiums, that's what these red ones are, which I decided this year. I hadn't tried them before. I gave them a try and said, yeah, I don't like them. It's too much red. And stuff that was from like clearance hanging baskets, or I think like $4 a pop from the Home Depot. Pulled them apart and tried to make it look nice. And I think that some of it does look nice, like this. but not so much that. There's just too much going on over there. Pardon the coil hose. Need to get that put away. I did replace a Mangave that was in the front of each one of these with these new Ipomias, which is called, I saved the tag because I know I wouldn't remember, Sweet Caroline, Sweetheart, Shadow Storm. That variegation, isn't it beautiful? Really like these. Not much growth yet because, well, but, you know, just did that like, what, 2 or 3 weeks ago? There's the update on those. Have a few other plants sitting up here. Need to be planted out. A little birch. Sugar and Spice Arborvitae, don't care how you say it, Nidivus begonia. A nice water. Looking forward to getting moving on some fall plantings, which shouldn't be too far off from now. Hey, Pumpkin, how you going? Pumpkin, hurry up, the TV's on. We can't be here in the background. Oh, Turbo, oh, Turbo's here. Hey, go outside, let's go outside. Yeah, good boy. Okay, get away from the TV. News is on. No, thank you. Don't have time for that when we're outside looking at plants. When we have the opportunity to be outside looking at plants especially. So, there's a lot to talk about out here. Some updates. Things have been growing. Everything is at its, well, actually probably just past its peak at this point. Every year, if you don't know, I forgot to do the thing. Oh, you want it? You want your palm frond? There you go. It's fine, it's just a water gun. I haven't done the thing where I tell everybody where I'm from. If you don't know, 7A, 6B, where I live, St. Louis, Missouri. So all the tropicals that are in plants, these palms are in the pool, this great big Alexander palm back here, all these really big tropicals. They can't stay out here during the winter, like the big croton, those things. They either go into my garage, which is my grow space during the wintertime, or they go off to a greenhouse out here. We have a service where a company will come and pick up your gigantic plants and store them for you during the wintertime. Okay, the disclaimer has been made. And that leads me into talking about the palms. This is going to be our last look at the palms for the year. I'm having the company who picks up the palms come out earlier than usual this year because I have a lot going on mid to late October. Need to screw that back down. I don't know what, that one bulb won't go off. The others stay. I don't know what the deal is there. It's a conversation, a project for a different time. Usually, like I said, mid to late October is when I have them come and take the palm trees. We don't usually have any frost here until, well, I think our average frost date was October 15th. I believe that has been changed to October 16th to like November 1st. You just really never know once October hits. We could have frost. We're smack dab in the middle of the country, and it's just a constant battle between hot and cold, hot and cold. And like I said, I have a lot going on in the middle and at the end of the month, so I said, you know what? Come get them. First week of October, which will be just a few days after this video comes out. Just go ahead and take the palms. That way I just have that off my mind. And then we have the month of October to focus on restructuring things out here for winter through spring. Well, I guess fall through spring. And moving tropicals into the grow space without feeling quite as much pressure to be multitasking between the big plants and the stuff that's in the garage or goes into the garage. So let's just start with the palms. Really, the palm trees should probably... That might just be its own video. That might be worth it. But I'm going to make sure we go over everything briefly. The Gossia palms, they have birthday balloons tangled up in them from 2 weeks ago that I should take. I'm not going to deal with that right now. But it needs to be cleaned out. They're great palm trees. I have talked about maybe being done with these. At least being done with them in these containers. Only because I have these beautiful hydrangeas on the other side of the pool. You'll get a better look at them later on. And I have 2 more of those strawberry vanilla hydrangea trees in my front yard, and the trees have grown. They're not getting enough sun out there anymore. And it's a rare opportunity to be able to get 4 matching plants of a nice big size around the pool. So I think that what I might do is something I've never done, ever. I've never, ever, and this is being very dramatic here, but I've never not had palms or tropicals in these pots. There was one year I didn't have palms in it. I just did like heliconias and elephant ears, maybe bananas, I don't know. And a lot of people love them. I didn't. I thought it was too much. It was very messy. Elephant ears were just gigantic, which is cool, but it was a lot. And I think that it would be nice to have that uniformity out here by having 4 of the hydrangeas instead of just the 2 that are down there, and the perennial factor of it. Those are panicle hydrangeas. They do great in those containers during the winter time. I don't have to fuss with them very much at all, just a prune. Basically, that's it. Early spring, late winter. Whereas with the palms, it is a lot. Getting them put into place and getting them planted up every year, and then having to get them back out of these containers for them to take them away. And every time I do that, I risk breaking these containers, and I couldn't replace these. at this point. One, I don't think that they're sold anymore, so if one of them breaks, then I'm just out of pot, right? Unless it'll glue back up nicely. And price of everything has just skyrocketed since I bought these two. These are very large. They're 32 inches tall and I think 28 or 30 inches across. So it's just not practical to keep doing these projects with more. A few times you have to lay them down and pull these plants out and put them back in. I'd like to do more of a set it and forget it thing. With the hydrangea trees, they could take a few years in these containers. You need to pull them out and either root prune them, put them back in with fresh soil, or move them into the ground. I'll just be doing root prunes and putting them back into the containers with fresh soil. The Gossia palms, to me, I feel like it's a fair trade-off. Or really, no, it's an upgrade. These are really great palm trees for people who want a trunked palm that's not going to grow really fast and outgrow their home. I think the Alexander, which is a Teclis from elegans back there, one of the best for just a quick growing trunked palm that's somewhat easier to get and can tolerate indoor conditions fairly well. I'm talking about these things as if they're a better option than palms like the Adenidias over here, which are sold very commonly, at least where I live. You see lots of Adenidias, but they just suck as houseplants. I think these are a great alternative because they don't need a ton of water. Main thing, though, is they can't take cold. They don't like it. That will be a problem. I did enjoy years past when I would either have queens in these containers or for a while I had my mule palms in here, and they could take the temps into the 20s. I didn't have to panic to get them inside, whereas these, that's something I have to factor in. They also are slow growers, which is why they're so great in the house, but out here, it's just not great because they go off to a greenhouse for storage during the wintertime. So I could fit these in my house. I'm not going to, I'll talk about that later. But they come back and have to acclimate to being outdoors. You need to slowly move them into the sunlight. And to do that with these, it's looking at 8 weeks. So I don't have time for that. They don't get delivered till mid-May. I would have just gotten these planted up a few weeks ago. So I just drop them in the pots and say, okay, I'm going to do my best. Make sure you're getting your fertilizer, some compost. Keep at least this one up on drip. That one I didn't do drip with, and I did that for a reason, because I wanted to see would it really make a difference. And I would say it did, right? I know I'm side questing here. I'll get back to my point about Gossia palms here in just a moment, but this one to me looks much, much, much better than this one. This one also gets some more sun, though. Probably another 2 or 3 hours of sun during the day than this one, so that's something to keep in mind as well. Main thing, though, is that they're drought tolerant, so I haven't had to water this one very often. I water it maybe 3 times a week. I should probably water it more, but I wanted to see what it would do, and it didn't do a lot less than this one. So while this one does look better, it's not that far ahead of this one over there. These, each trunk, I would say, would put out 3 new fronds, whereas these are on, what, 1, 2, like, they're opening up their 4th new frond, and these are, you know, just pushing out their 3rd that's getting ready to open. So it's not a tremendous difference that I got with the drip, and some of that could be attributed to less sunlight and slightly less harsh conditions. They can take that drought, which is why they're good in the house, right? One thing, though, that I just don't like about them is they're spider mite magnets. I haven't had that problem outside, but I know in the past when I've tried Gossia palms in the house, I just didn't care for it. Any palm, especially Majesty palms, right? They have a very, very similar pinnae to these palms. It's thin, and the bugs just love it. They eat it up. So I would just rather not deal with that. They can go off to the greenhouse where they handle all those things. So I'm not going to get rid of these, but I am fairly confident this is the last year we'll see these in these containers. I will say, though, I wouldn't be heartbroken to get rid of them. We've had our time together, and it's been nice. They grow so painfully slow that I'm not that attached to them. I tend to get more attached, I've noticed, to plants that grow very quickly. And I think that's just because there's that reward factor in remembering when you got that plant when it was really small, and then now it's, 25 feet tall, get attached to those things. Whereas these, I get like, I don't know, maybe 1, 2, maybe 3 rings of new growth on here, on the trunks a year. I don't know, it's not doing much for me. I think they're really cool, but they're not doing a lot for me out here anymore. So that's the update on the Gossia palms. I'm going to keep the rest much shorter. Like I said, I think it would be nice to just do a video where it's just the palm trees. This Adenidia is new this year. It got repotted a few months ago. It's looking very, very nice. It's shed a few new leaves, but it's opening some new ones. That's what we want to see. The Robolini is just, well, doing its thing. This one has reached a size where its growth has, I don't want to say slowed, but it has. They can grow pretty quickly till they reach a certain size, and then they tend to slow down. And that's where it's at. so it doesn't do a ton every year. You know, get a few flushes out of it, but it's not, you know, skyrocketing up like it was before. Had really nice inflorescence out of this one this year, which is good. It means it's nice and happy. This queen palm, it's been a problem child. I have even debated maybe saying goodbye to it, but it has turned a new frond. Instead of leaf, I said frond. That wasn't worth it. See, it had a lot of damage when it was delivered that I haven't been able to get up because I just keep forgetting to repair my pole pruners. But it was really stalled with its growth this year, and I am just going to say that's probably due to inconsistent water and temperature. We just got out, we're not out, we're still in it, but we have had some rain the last few days. We were in a very, very, very bad drought, which queen palms, you know, they can take some drought when they're in the ground. This is in a container. It's in a, I don't know, it's in a great big black pot. I don't remember what gallon size it was. It's pretty big. But I couldn't keep the dang thing hydrated when we were having the heat spells and like 6 weeks with not any really measurable rain that would make any kind of difference. So I didn't get a lot of growth out of it either. Having it up on drip would make a difference. Like I said, I was thinking about getting rid of it, but the other day I was in the bathroom and up there and I was like, oh, there's a palm frond right outside the window. I was like, well, that's fun. So we're going to keep it. I'm going to give it another year. Next year, there will be a new set of drip set up in this area. I messed up this year with the drip, which I guess I'll circle back to later. But because I want to stay on track with the palm trees. Windmill palm, it's not going away. This one stays out here all year except for the coldest months of the year, and then it goes inside. So generally like January and February, it's normally inside. Sometimes we'll keep it inside longer than that. When this double-trunked Adenidia over here goes off to the greenhouse sometime next week, that's when I don't know if I'll do it next week, but the windmill palm, I will pull that and put that back in that corner, and that's where it will stay for, well, as long as I can, until we have temperatures that look like they're going to be consistently below 20 or any risk of ice, anything like that. And once all these palm trees are gone, except for the windmill over here, I have this really pretty crabapple that's potted up. That's going to come over in this corner, and I'm going to just start setting up things that will be out here for the fall and the winter time. And I still have lots of tropicals outside that I can use in this area, but I do want to end up focusing on doing something with this spot that's going to just look nice. I want to do it while the weather's nice and have something that's good November through whenever the tropicals can come back outside next year in 2026. In years, not just years past, always, what I've always done is the palm trees go away, and then I'm focused on moving the tropicals inside. Sometimes I'll rearrange them a little bit to make it look nice, and that ends up just consuming all of my time, and then everything's inside, which is great, but all of a sudden it's cold and it's wet outside, and I don't want to come outside and do anything again until like February. So I think what would be smart this year, since the palm trees are being taken away, they're going to go off to the greenhouse earlier this year, then that would be a good time to use some of that time to go ahead and start pulling the tropicals like the Alocasias and some of the Mongaves and those things, maybe sectioning them off somewhere where I can be watching them more closely for a couple of weeks for pests and just being able to keep a closer eye on them. Somewhere down there where they'll be closer to get them moved into the garage. Then over here in this living area, move the plants that'll be outside for the rest of the year and early next year. Like I said, that crabapple, that'll go over there. I have a bunch of roses over here, which are usually semi-evergreen. So I'm going to put those in some areas to fill things in. I have that Alberta spruce, some grasses, which will brown out, but I still think that they will look very, very nice. These are the Apache rose panicums. I love them. Look at how airy they are. They're so airy and beautiful. And then the steps will just be, you know, fallen winter things. I already have a big mum out here. I got that thing for $18.99 at Sam's Club. What a good deal. I don't jump on the mums that often. That was a good price, so I did it. It doesn't really fit everything else that's over here, but that's okay. Look at how much this xanthosoma has grown. This thing has turned into a total beast. I have it planted up with a Harlequin cordyline frutacasa, but I would say that was completely unnecessary. You can't even see the cordyline back there with the xanthosoma in the front. I don't know. I wouldn't change it. I am going to have to pull this, I believe. I think this would be the smart thing to do, is to pull it out, cut it back, pot it into a smaller container for winter storage in the house, because I do like the container it's in. You can't see it right now, but it's down here, and it's pretty. It's really pretty. See that? It's one of these. It's like that one. And I will probably want other things in that container for the winter time. And I'll probably pull the cordylan out too. I don't know. We will see. They are mealybug magnets, so I don't tend to like to have them in the grow space unless it's to have them in there as a decoy. Because they don't flower frequently, so I don't feel that off about giving them a systemic insecticide, which has helped with the mealybugs the last few winter times. And when they do flower, I just cut them off. There aren't a ton of pollinators running around the grow space in the winter time, but it's still just, I don't know, it just seems like the right thing to do. It's a good habit to have. I have loved how this area filled in and just really became its own garden this year. I have never taken the potted plants this far out, and I get stuck between, oh, it looks cluttered, to it has flowed together nice enough that I feel like it just looks like an extension of the garden over here. So you can see when we come down through here, I just potted that Alberta spruce. Wouldn't normally be sitting there. But you have the bed that comes in, angles in this way. You have that nice step that's really pretty, and then it comes back out, angles in. So it creates a room over there, and I really liked how that looked. And it was somewhat accidental. I mean, I tried to put things here just to make them look nice. But it's also like some of these plants were just here because it's like, well, this is where I'll set them until I plant them. And then I ended up really liking where everything was. So I made a few tweaks to it and just, I don't know, I just wrote it out. And I'm fine with it. I don't really care for how the Adenidia obstructs the view of the Robolini right there. But it also does somewhat naturalize things too, not having things laid out so intentionally. It's not as contrived, right? It just looks good. I have this really nice Tepehelito Camadoria in here. Look at it. This thing's been growing so well. I have another one that I need to repot. I say that in every single freaking garden tour. Maybe I'll remember when we get down that side of the yard to grab that one and bring it over here, so I'll remember to repot it. Because this one got a repot with fresh soil, and it just went exploded in growth this year. It has 1, 2, 3, 4 new fronds, and it's opening up a 5th. It's already defoliated the ones that it had during the winter time, and I just love it. That's a really cute one that I enjoy having inside during the winter time. I have a thatch palm over here that I don't know. I did a video on this. I don't think it ever came out because I was gonna do like a 1-year update thing. We're not quite to the 1 year yet. That was this one, and then the king palm. I think I released one of those, but not the other. I'm pretty sure the king palm video came out. Whatever the case, it has enjoyed summertime. It has been a very easy palm in the sense that I don't feel obligated to constantly keep it moist because they can take a good amount of drought. Gets a lot of sun right here. It's just been happy. I think it's close to doubled in size. They're not a very fast grower, so I'm happy to see that. Areca palm, looking great. Over here, just Areca-ing. That one goes into the grow space during the winter time, so you'll still be seeing plenty of that one. The big queen that's over here. Oh, I just love it. It's got a little kind of situation going on. Something they'd be running commercials for on ESPN or something. Everything has a fix, right? Just turn it the other way and it'll stretch back out the other way and get rid of that curve. This, it fell over against that pole, and it took a while to get it back up because, well, it's extremely large. It took some planning to do it safely, and during that very small amount of time, like maybe 2 weeks, it started growing that way. This palm tree has been phenomenal. Growing like a champ. I'm not going to keep it over here anymore. This is the last year for it in this spot, which is bittersweet. I've enjoyed having it over here, but I have said a few times before about how it blends in an awful lot. It looks really cool from the upstairs windows, looking outside and being like, whoa, look at that. But I don't think that's a good enough reason to keep it over here. The crane, they have to use a crane to pick up and deliver the palm trees. They're big. The first year I put it there, no problem. They were able to use the crane, wasn't an issue. This year when they brought it here, the crane was slightly smaller, which apparently is something they have like no control over, the size of crane that's brought. I don't know, but they weren't able to use the crane to put it in here. It had to be set down, and then we had to do it, and that was just too dangerous for me. Someone's going to get hurt. I don't want to be putting the people through all that who are delivering the palm trees. And there's plenty of other things to put here. I actually think it would look great to put the croton that's back here, just right in that spot where the palm is. Right? They don't have to have the giant palm tree here. Instead, this is going to be a lot of work, but instead, I'm going to put the queen palm, and I've talked about this before, because I thought about doing this year, and then I didn't do it. But the queen palm's going to go right here. In the dark, shady spot, you can't really see where there's an Adenidia palm, so we'll have the Alexander palm, the queen palm right there, and then I don't know what I'm going to do with that Adenidia. I don't really care for that Adenidia. This doesn't have the nicest growth habit to it, but it's mine, so until I give it away, I'll figure something out with it. So yeah, this is the last time y'all be seeing this. Well, maybe. I'm sure I'll be doing a video where I'm cleaning these out, because that's going to be the next step. Is any palm that's going to be going away, I like to go in and clean anything out that's of value. So I have the pseudoranthemum black varnish in here. I'm going to want to pull that out, because these make really good house plants, and they're really pretty in the grow space. Everything else I've underplanted it with, I'm okay with just sending off to the greenhouse this year. There's a little Frydek in there. They can take that. There's some heliconias. Yeah, I mean, typically with this one, as long as I cut it back, it returns the next year. So yeah, I'm not going to go as wild this year with pulling things out of the pots as I usually do. It's partially just because the patio's so clean. There's needle cats everywhere, but it's so clean. I just don't want to make the mess. Not worth it to save a few annuals. These planters over here are just looking wonderful. Less sun this time of year, so the heliconias have slowed down on their flowering, but look at how incredibly full they've gotten. These are the Chaconianas. It's a Sidericorum type parrot beak heliconia. I have these all over the garden. I bought way too many of them this year. But I don't usually have the opportunity to buy very many of them, and this year I did, and I overdid it. I did too much. I think I would be fine with just getting 4 from now on, 2 for each one of these, and then another one to pop around somewhere else for some extra color. It's just, instead, I think I probably had a total of 18 this year. That's because I tried a project with them that didn't really work out, and now I know. I have loved how these came out. Look at how different the flowers are when you come over here to where they're more shaded. There's a little bit more color on these. Temperatures have cooled, and we've been in a drought, so things are not looking quite as vibrant as they usually do. But you can see there's a hint of red in there. Really pretty. Nice, vigorous growers. I haven't had any issues with nitrogen or anything like that with these like I usually do. So they've really just been enjoying it. I put a ton of compost in with these this year and some bone meal, and that seemed to have kept them very, very happy. I usually do that, but not as much as I did this year. I have these underplanted with the Terra Pink Petunias. Vista Petunias. I want to say, they're not Vistas. No, never mind. They're just Super Petunias. That's what's throwing me off. These things grow like insanity. So I'm really surprised that these are not considered a Vista. I don't know if Proven Winners will end up bumping that up at some point or not and moving them into the Vista line. But it's just phenomenal growth out of them. I didn't have much contrast between the pink and the white on these flowers until temperatures started to cool off some more. So they kind of just looked like just a pink petunia the first, I'd say, 2 months that I had them in the containers, and then we started to have some more cool nights, and they started to color up some. So I don't know if that's been like that for everybody else, but that was my experience with them. Regardless, I really like them. I like that soft white that's in the middle of them. It kind of just draws the eye to them some more. Flowers are a little bit smaller than you see on like the bubble gums. They're great. They're nice. I have some caladiums and some other things over here that I'm doing some stuff with. This is a annual plant I did with just an extra coleus that I'm over. I need to get the coleus out of here. I don't like having coleus out here this time of year because this is the time of year when the pests just go rampant. They're everywhere and they love coleus. So I need to cut that off, get that out of here. It's also blocking the view of this beautiful coconut palm who has been so freaking happy this year. Every single coconut palm this year has done wonderfully. They all got repotted this year and they really responded well to that. Can you get off? What are you doing? Gonna suck the blood out of me right in front of my face? That's rude. Go to my legs like all the other decent mosquitoes where I can't see you. I can see them. I can see my legs, but you know, you're looking forward, not paying attention. You get it. Doing great. Lots of growth on it. Nice, stiff, happy growth. It's not overextended. That can happen sometimes with the coconuts, I've noticed. If you don't have the light quite right, they will stretch and you get sort of a weird looking plant. But no, they're all looking really good. Even I have one that you'll see. My gosh, there's swarms of mosquitoes everywhere. I'll show you later that it's not getting much light at all, but it didn't get that stretched out growth. Let's say looking nice and compact. The foxtail palm over here, I don't know, it's happy. It's new this year, and it's a weird one. I have mixed feelings about talking on camera because I wouldn't suggest you buy one where they have shoved 6 of them in one container. That's not how these things want to grow, but it was speaking to me at the nursery, and I bought it, so I don't know, I guess I'm a bad example. Look at this lutea. Alocasia lutea. Just looking so dang happy. This was just a couple of leaves in the springtime when I moved this out from the grow space, because I take this in during the winter time. So this way, I think it's third year that I've had it. But in the winter, I just let it can just die back. It's fine. And then when things warm up, it'll put up a new leaf here and there. I don't do much for it. And then when it's really warm, it just, goes crazy. I usually get more size in this out of my luteas. But I guess I was late to the game repotting this one. This year was different. I got a lot of big projects done earlier in the year. And then I guess it's because I was trying to get ready for my nephew's birthday party, which was, I don't know, June 20th-ish, something around there. And after that, I think I was just done and I was spent. And I was like, no more projects. So that's why maybe a few weeks passed and some things didn't get done until July. But it's just, some repots. I have more repots I'm going to be doing here pretty soon, too, at a totally inappropriate time. I'm going to do them anyways because they need to be done. I used to be very much on board with the mentality that the best time to repot a plant is, well, at least a house plant is going to be spring, summer. The day lengths are longer, but I'm moving things into a grow space that's artificial lighting. So I think the best time for me to repot a plant is when the plant needs to be repotted. This isn't still the wisest time of year because some of these tropicals will be out here and it's going to be cooler, but it just is what it is. It's got to get done, and I can't do it in the wintertime when they're inside. So I'm going to be having to focus on that moving into October and November. These Chinese fan palms. How much did you all love this year? If you have been watching and even seeing them around. This entire spot, with the pink flamingo in it, I think just came out beautifully. Absolutely stunning. I am a big fan of these giant Chinese fan palms. I'm torn as to whether or not to have them taken off to the greenhouse or to try and overwinter them myself. I know I can overwinter the Chinese fan palms, but they aren't going to look too hot come the springtime. But I've seen the Chinese fan palms that this company overwinters, and if I send them off to them, I know they're still not going to look too hot come springtime. If I'm going to have them take these, I have to dismantle these containers completely and get these pulled out. And then I'll have to wait for them to be delivered to get them planted up. Whereas if I try it myself, worst case scenario, it doesn't work out and they die and I have to do something different next year. Best case scenario, you can get them to hold on to a few fronds. When things warm up, they grow like crazy, and before you know it, you can't even tell that they had defoliated and had a rough winter. The plan with these, if I do keep them, I don't have room in the grow space for these guys. I'm not taking them in my house. Chinese fan palms won't do well in my house. I don't have enough light in there for them. I have a greenhouse, or I'm getting a new one, just a pop-up thing. So it's only kind of a greenhouse, more of a winter shelter for the plants. And I think these might be okay in there. I kept some windmill palms in them last year, and they did wonderfully, which windmill palms are much more hardy than the Livistona chinensis, these Chinese fan palms, but these are pretty dang cold hardy too. The foliage, not so much. Doesn't take a lot of frost and freezes to kill off the foliage, but their roots are tough. So if I wrap these containers with the heat cables, which I've done before, I have them, it's easy to do, and have these set inside the greenhouse with a nice prune, to minimize just how much I have to, really just how much I have to try to walk through to take care of everything else that's in there, they might have a chance. I want to lift them up off the ground, put them on some styrofoam, something like that, and just, don't let them get too cold. But there's only so much you can do in those really cheap pop-up greenhouse things too. So I would think the heat cables, and I usually do some things with heating during the winter. I say usually, I've done this one time with these pop-up greenhouses. I've done plenty of winter shelters for plants, but this would be different because these are containerized. They're more susceptible to damage, but I'm interested to try that out because it would also mean that I don't have to dismantle these containers and just make a giant mess out here next week. And then, like I said, I won't have to wait until, late May for the palms to be delivered to enjoy having these out here again, which I think would be really nice. It's something to think about. At least I have, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I have 3 days to think about it, and I will have had to have made up my mind. I would say it's a win-win. If I pull them out, it's going to be extra work right now, but, they'll bring them back next year, save money by keeping them here, but they might die. I don't know. That's just the way things go with that. Back there, it's the rehab area. You'll be able to see everything else a lot better once the big plants are gone for the wintertime, so I'm going to save those all for another time. Sometimes these garden tours get really long, which I know a lot of you do enjoy. I enjoy that too, to an extent, but it would just be easier when I can access things more easily. You know what I mean? I always want to focus on the things that are going away. I planted up this banana this year. It's just a super dwarf Cavendish type banana. I usually really enjoy these, but for some reason, I just wasn't into this year. I imagine it's because it's right next to a heliconia, have a very similar leaf shape and everything. I'd be okay with getting rid of it. I don't know. I wasn't liking it. Usually I love them, but it just wasn't doing anything for me this year. I need to get rid of the impatiens. It's time. Haven't done that yet. Oh, the basket. This thing got a twist last week because the mahogany ipomoeas were not getting anywhere near enough sunlight. They were on that side, so I gave it a twist. See what would help. It's kind of late in the season to be hoping for anything with that, but I will say it has decided that it enjoyed it and getting some growth now. So that worked out well. Caladiums looking great over here. I'll show you the Chitalpa. The Chitalpa just looks ridiculous. I planted an El Nino Chitalpa back here this spring, and it sat around, didn't do much. It bloomed very, very early in the year, like May. Late May, I think. This thing had flowers on it, and then it didn't do anything, and then it went ahead and started growing. But that's it. One really long growth that is extremely tall, and no more flowers, which generally makes me think, okay, well, that could be two different things. It could be sunlight or fertilizers. But I have these hibiscus over here, and there's a hydrangea that's down here too, and these gingers, which have been blooming. And gingers, you can't have too much nitrogen, or they will not bloom. They'll skip it. So I don't think that's the case. I think it was just off because of shipping or something. I don't know. My other Chitalpa hasn't been blooming much either, but that's because I think I put it in a spot that doesn't get quite enough sunlight. It's down there. You can't really see it. We'll go over that another time when the tropicals are gone and we're walking around the garden. But, well, yeah, it goes all the way up there, which I guess that's okay. I planted that with the hopes that I'd be able to keep it trimmed and narrow to fit into that corner, and, well, certainly got the narrow part down. Look at the needle palms. Look at them. These are so big. They're taller than me now, which is so much. That frond back there is a good 2 feet taller. These are probably pushing 8 feet tall. At least this one is. That one down there is much smaller. This one gets more sunlight. I'm bad about giving updates, so I want to make sure that you get to see the needle palms. They're so great. Great palm trees. They're just big, green, shiny bushes. I only protect them when we have risk of ice or dropping below about 10 degrees Fahrenheit. Otherwise, I don't worry about them too terribly much. All the mangaves that got potted up in a recent video, they haven't done much. We're starting to see some signs of new growth out of the middles. I just wouldn't expect to see much out of those because they just got repotted and not as much light out this time of year. This whole area right here was looking fantastic, and then the drought. Good year to have Tradescantia in the front though, because they can take that drought, and things started to really fizzle and look bad. I put in a taller sprinkler head because the sprinkler head that was in here only went up this high. So it's just blasting water into the front of the bed. That wasn't working, so I put this one in there. I don't mind it. It was only a few bucks. I think it blends in, and it really does a good job of watering everything much better. And I've noticed the gingers are taking on a better growth habit. The Tradescantia started to bounce back, and the caladiums back there, they're loving it. And what I'm loving is this Lespedeza. Not Lespedeza, Heptacodium. Yeah, the Temple of Bloom, Heptacodium. It is a pollinator magnet. There are always little critters fluttering all over these flowers this time of year. And it's nice because the other trees and things, they're not blooming this time of year. So that's nice. There aren't supposed to be bananas there. I did weigh up the bananas that were here this year, but some survived and came up in the middle. I replanted with a Balbasiana in this spot, and it got smashed by the dog. So I'm going to have to give that a try again next year. It may still rebound, but it's been a good month and I don't see anything in there, so you know, I don't know. I'll mulch it just to be safe this year. Over here, this area always struggles the absolute most when we have drought because it's an extremely, extremely hot corner. But I'd say it's looking okay. Right? These are the Pharaoh's Dream. Is something tapping on the window? What am I hearing? Something's running around inside the gutter? There's a weird sound coming from over there. Anyways, Pharaoh's Dream Colocasias. I just go on and on about these in all the garden tours. They're phenomenal. They're beautiful. My favorite of the cold hardy Colocasias. Overwintered them for the first time. Next year I would imagine they'll be even better because when I got them last year they were just this big. So this is their first year where I've been able to see the mature coloration on them. And just look at that. They practically glow. They illuminate the area with that variegation. And you start to get some pink in there as they age out, which is really nice. This time of year, I battle autumn clematis horribly. It's an invasive around here. You're going to see a big clump of it in just a minute. That's beautiful, but I got to get it ripped out. See, that didn't do anything, just pulling off the top. I am trying to make sure this year to really stay on top of the majority of it. This one got away from me. Yeah. See, I can't let this... Oh, it smells so good. It smells very sweet over here. But this is not supposed to be here. It's an invasive. I do not like it, and I battle it every single year. And, yeah, I just got to go through and pull on it, make sure I get all the flowers off, which is a shame to do because it's so pretty. But you can't let it set seed, or next year will be an absolute nightmare. So you're going to be seeing some more of those around here soon. Oh, hey, butterfly. What you doing? This whole spot. This is where I wasted the other heliconias. It was a great idea. Something I've never been able to do before. I planted up a whole row of heliconias behind these sun patients, which are just beautiful. But they got lost, right, in the shuffle of everything. So I'm going to say that was a waste of money. They look nice. They do look good. But I don't know. I just don't think the juice is worth the squeeze financially. And I could just as easily put in a dwarf canna in the spot that's going to give the same effect. Not the same flowers, but it's going to give a similar effect, and they'll be perennial. Yeah, I know a lot of people think cannas are tropical, but you just cut them back and put a bag of mulch on top of them. You should be good into zone 5B. As long as they're sited properly, they should be okay. But you need, I'd say, a good 8 to 12 inches of mulch on top of the clump. They'll usually be fine. And I think that would be fine in the spot. Or maybe just nothing. Maybe just have the roses, and then I have a new type of banana back here that'll be even bigger next year, and the Alocasias. Everything's very busy over here this time of year. Everything goes from looking really nice in July to end of September going, oh wow, things are looking rough and crowded. It's because I'm bad about coming and pruning. I enjoy to prune, but it's also hard to get started on it. What happened back here? Everything's smashed in this spot. Wondering what people have been up to. Look at the size of the leaves on this Alocasia. These are the bikini teenies, which are only supposed to get a few feet tall. But the last few years, mine have gotten huge. Those are easily pushing 7 feet. And there's Turbo. Look how big Turbo is. 110 pounds. He's a big boy. They don't have the biggest leaves, but just the growth on them. Very, very nice. Yeah, I've been happy with how this garden bed turned out. None of the orange sun patients did anything. You can kind of see a hint of orange down here in that little corner. Right there. But there were 6 of them planted in here, I believe, and no, they got overtaken by the purple candy and red candy sun patients, which is fine. I still think it looks lovely. I like the contrast with the alpinia moving through here. I have these tea plants back here. Those will go in for the winter, probably. All the tea plants out here I got on clearance for like $3 a pop, so we'll see if somebody wants them. If not, maybe I'll keep them. Maybe they'll go inside. Don't really know for sure yet on that one. I also planted some new roses back here this year, which got lost in the tropical mayhem of summertime. But this time of year, the nights are starting to cool off just a smidge. It's still pretty warm here. Right now it's very decent. We're going to be back into the 80s here pretty soon, mid-80s. That's when I start to see the action going on these new roses. This one is Coral Remembrance, Coral Remembered, Reminiscent Coral. And it has had a few very nice flowers on it. And I think now that, the bananas, I did a bunch of pruning that were coming out here. I cut a whole bunch of bananas out to open light back up into this area. The roses really appreciated that. Because, they will just get covered in powdery mildew if you don't do that. And it's allowed them to start flowering. And I say them because there's another one back here that, the name is escaping me. What is going on with these? Is something like running around down here chewing on these and pulling them up? This is unusual. Doesn't normally happen. But we had that drought and everything, so plants will act funny. Anyways, this other rose back here, that I cannot remember the name of. Just beautiful. I know it seems weird to have roses, probably, to some of y'all to haven't planted them with the tropicals, but this year, mostly in the springtime, and really last fall when I was doing plant orders, I wanted to really focus on trying to increase year-round interest, because once all the bananas and the Alocasias, the gingers, there's just so much here that dies back to the ground during the wintertime. The impatiens aren't even here. Something else needed to be out here other than the big, scraggly, little gem magnolia that has traditionally hated the spot, but I see this year actually put on quite a lot of growth. But I betcha when we pull this other stuff out, there's going to be a lot of bare stuff down below. But, I can't say it definitely did something. So it rebound. I was talking about removing it, and then I just didn't, because I was like, I can just leave it and let everything else grow around it until I figure out what else to plant there. But you know, give it some time, see if it keeps surviving. I planted that you can't even see anymore, a screenplay holly back here. I'm interested to see how that's doing once the bananas get cut back. I have been able to get a peek at it. You aren't going to be able to see it, and it's okay. I thought a holly would be a good option for that spot because they can generally take some shade, although they're getting deep shade now. So I thought, well, that'll be good because they can take that sun the rest of the year, and then when the bananas have that, you know, it's like 3 or 4 months where they're really big and they're going to shade them, it would probably be okay because that's going to be during the hottest part of the year. Won't know until you cut the bananas back, though. Overall, I'm really happy with how this bed came out. Things have already, I should say, I'm already in the process of starting to disassemble, so that's why there's some plants out into the patio. But, you know, there'll be more tours and more looks at things just without the palm trees, and probably, I don't know what'll be going on with the bananas in October, but maybe they'll still be there. I don't know. I don't know what October's going to do. Repots right here. These are some of the roses that were dug up from the front yard. Let's get in here nice and close so y'all can see what I'm talking about. They're the flamenco pink, something like that, rose. I don't remember. They're in the front yard. I dug them up and put the drift roses in, cut these back, and just getting lots and lots of nice growth on them. They seem to appreciate the cutback. Whereas you may have noticed those other 3 I didn't cut back. That's because I wanted to just try and push them through the stress of being dug up and moved into a container so I could have something with some height and color this winter time. So like I said, roses will usually hold on to a good amount of their color during the winter here, and sometimes even flower sporadically. Oh, hi, hummingbird. You gonna say hi? Okay, he's gone. Hummingbirds. Oh, they're everywhere right now. They love the gingers. They love the heliconias. They seem to enjoy that clematis too, so they don't have the best taste, but that's okay. Lots of flowers, so they seem happy. Here are those hydrangea standards. A better look at them. Looking beautiful. These are the strawberry vanillas. I've had these for several years. I apparently over pruned on them this winter, and so the growth was way too weepy on them. I don't remember over pruning on them. I'm usually very careful with that, but you know, you don't want to take off more than a third, and maybe I did. I know that's horribly backlit. This year it's difficult to find a good time to film things, but you get the picture. It's really weepy and just kind of meh looking. So I don't know, I have some ideas about some things I could do with this. Potentially trimming it this fall instead of next winter, and putting a series of stakes in there. So what happens is they shoot out all this new growth. They have these very, very, very large. These have some of the biggest flower heads on them that I've seen on hydrangeas. These aren't even that big. There's some bigger ones over there. But that weighs them down, and then the new growth hardens off into wood. Then you end up with a bent structure, and the problem can just keep repeating itself, and eventually this thing would just be weeping all the way to the ground, which might look cool, but not what I want here. So I might go in here with some stakes this year, do a prune in the fall instead of spring, and put a series of stakes on the inside to hold things up and gain a new structure on the inside and start training things up from the inside and just start to correct some growth so that these can get some more height on them, because they haven't been able to get a lot of color in the bottoms of their containers because they're hanging so low that they're really casting a lot of shade now on the annuals I put underneath them. This one right here especially gets a ton of light, but it shades it because it's so weepy and wide. I need to really be more careful next year about pruning, or this fall, whatever I decide to do, and try and just let it go up instead of, you know, whatever I did. I don't remember cutting that much off, but I guess I did. No matter what, the strawberry vanillas, all the ones I've grown, usually have somewhat of a weepy, droopy habit to them. They don't have a weepy habit. They just tend to look habity. They look like they would be a weeping plant because they pull themselves down, but the plant growth itself doesn't weep. Does that make sense? They just have big old flower heads on them. They get heavy and they flop over, but that's okay because they're really pretty, and I'm all right with it. This area has just gone insane. Look at all the freaking color over here. The Alexander palm pushing out an inflow up there, and it's absolutely beautiful. Alexander palm was very happy this year. I top dress its container with land and seed compost. I usually top dress it with compost and fertilizer every year, and this year I was like, let's just do a whole bunch of land and seed to help hold in some moisture, which is not really necessary because that spot that it's in fills up with water. It's partially planted in the ground. It's created a well where all this water goes down there, so I never have to water this. It just takes in water from the surrounding garden bed. It has seemed really happy with it, though. Look at all the growth. It's nice and green. There's some ratty stuff up there, but that's ratty stuff that was from last winter. Stuff that has died off and now it's being replaced, and it's self-cleaning, so over time those will fall back off and it'll look great. The Enset Morellii. Do I even need to talk about it? Do I? Look at that. Let me see if I can even find a space far enough away to get a good picture of that. All right, that was dramatic. I didn't have to go. I'm probably, 25 feet away from it. That thing is a good, I would say, pushing 18 feet tall. Probably. Massive. I plant one here every year. Last year, they didn't do much. Don't know why. Sometimes that just happens. They have off years, but every year when I put them here, they usually get a lot of growth, especially years where I overwinter them and bring them outside and there's more to start off with. But this one was just planted from one that was in a 10-inch pot, and it was, I don't know, 2 feet high? 3? Oh, no, wait, no, it wasn't. Never mind. I take that back. This one is the one that I had bought in the springtime to put in the spot, and then I went to another nursery and found one that was much larger than that one. It's probably about this big, a little bit smaller than this, for a very good price. So I bought that larger one to plant in this spot. Okay, all right, it's making sense now. I was wondering. So, yeah, this one was, I'd say, smaller, but not much smaller than this one when I put it in the ground. And it was in a 7-gallon container, I believe. Probably about 4.5 feet tall. Most of the leaves broke when it was brought over to the house anyways. And it was about, I don't know, I'd say a solid 3 feet of that pseudostem in there. Now it maybe has 4 feet. The Ensets don't typically grow really big trunks, so... Well, though they do. They just don't get really tall. They get really big, thick, girthy ones that tend to stay stumpy. That's why I like them. This is the red Abyssinian banana. I said banana, sorry. Morellii. More sun they get, more color they tend to have. And I am obsessed with how this one took off this year. There's a view. I never lay in these bad angle. I need a hair. Oh, I really need a haircut. Yeah, never lay over, but look at what the view from the top. Nice. And I don't know why I don't ever hang out down here. I don't know. But yeah, it's just absolutely massive. So what a difference a 10-inch pot, 3-ish gallons, 2.67, whatever, versus a 7-gallon container. I would say if I had put this one in the ground over there, it would probably be maybe a good 3 feet shorter than this one, maybe 4 feet. This one over here is still on the small side because I have it tucked back here into a corner that doesn't get as much light. And it's been fine with that. The Ensets can go with less light than some other bananas. You're just going to have more of a stretched out growth habit on them. But they can do it, which is great. They're also pretty cold hardy too. I've only had success overwintering them one time in the ground out here. And that was with a ton of mulch. It was a mild winter. And the returning growth wasn't worth all the effort. Because just so much of the plant had died off that I just didn't get much out of the plant the next year. But they're easy to overwinter in the house too. You can keep them as a house plant, or easy for a banana, I should say. They're not necessarily easy. They can be full of problems. But if you store them the dormant way, super easy. Just cut everything off, dig them up, get as much of the soil off the roots as you can. Usually people put a bag. I prefer a paper bag. Some people use trash bags or the big mud tubs, the trough things. Stick them someplace cool, dark, and dry. Make sure they don't dry out too much. If they start to shrivel up too much, that can be a problem. And then move them back out when it's warm. You can do that if you're going to store them for about 4 months. If you're going to store them for longer than that, then I would say keep them someplace where they're still going to get some light, and you splash them with water occasionally. Great plants. Look at the stingray. This thing did fantastic this year. It's huge. Absolute beast. For a stingray, right? I might go ahead and dig that up and bring it inside this winter. I don't know. I am able to find them usually for a good price, so we'll just see how space is looking. This Alocasia. Stunning. This is the Golden Dragon or Golden Bone. Golden Dragon. It's a Lutea and a Portora, I believe, crossed together. I got this as a fairly small plant, and its spot has become fairly shaded, and I would say that it likes that. The yellow veining going to be more intense with more light. I'm fine with how this is how this has ended up looking. This entire spot, I think, just looks wonderful. Things got too busy over here, though. I put in the, I keep wanting to say mojito. It's not. It's the Hilo Beauty Caladium, Alocasia. And I thought it would look great there, and it does, but then this angle of the sun started to shift and started to do the angle thing, and now it's covering up the path, and I'm just not wild about that look. You can see it's, It's just too much. You can't even tell that I have a ginger down here. But look at all the growth out of this thing, though. Tons and tons of growth. It's very happy and vigorous. So this is one that I will cut back and bring inside and store it more dormant. But it's right here, I don't think is the right spot for it. The coconut palm, this is one of the other ones that got repotted this year. Need to do a mealybug check on this. Mealybugs been bad over in this spot. Yeah, there's some on here. Just exploded in growth. It's getting tons of water. I mean tons of water. It's in a very sandy soil, and it's easily doubled in size just by bumping it up into a new pot with some fresh soil and giving it lots of water. Obviously it grew. That's how things work, right? It's doing great. And I like the way it naturalizes the spot. Here we can pop out. You can see the view coming in through the gate. You have the path and everything when you're stepping in here with the yuccas on each side. Those are the recurvifolias. Beautiful. I love them. And then just, like you're walking through a nice little tropical path to get to the garden. It looks even better when I don't have these potted plants sitting over here. Oh, I was going to move on to this area. I'm going to finish this up, and hopefully I'll remember to talk about something that's very unusual that's happening behind me. I have a Chinese fan palm in the ground. I have noticed I had people comment on videos, or the video where I put this in the ground, asking me about it. Chinese fan palms, as I mentioned earlier, they can take a lot of cold. You can keep them in the ground and mulch them extremely heavily, and they will return, assuming their root ball didn't freeze solid. But they don't return until it's very warm outside, and you're not going to have a big lush display unless you have a really long growing season. I don't expect anywhere from 5 to 10 fronds to come up after doing that. So this one I could mulch, and maybe it will come back. I don't know. I got this one for a very good price. It was $6 on clearance. So I just popped it in the ground and said, we will see what happens with it. So we will see. This tends to be a really cold spot in the garden, so I don't expect it to come back, but it might. I have some Nepeta down here that is rebounding nicely. Things got so shady that they weren't doing great. But I think they'll be good. I think they'll be good because I got enough growth out of them that come this time next year, they should be twice this big and look really nice. And even really until I would say late June next year, they should be able to flower. Things won't be as shaded here. I wasn't sure about it because I knew the spot gets really shady during the summertime. But looking at, there's even flowers. You can see they were flowering not too long ago. That's a good sign. I have a Kinsley's Ghost honeysuckle down in here too. That's not getting anywhere near enough light. But it has grown, and I think that next year, hopefully it'll take off and fill up. And once it gets some height on it, it will get a lot more light. But right now, it's so small. It needs to get some size on it. Oh, the hydrangeas. These are berry white hydrangeas. They got planted up this year. They're moving into their cool season colors. These will go 8 by 6, I believe. So these are eventually going to be nice and big in this spot with big mop heads on them. And this is the problem right here. This is a variegated hibiscus. It's a variegated sea hibiscus. And it is just riddled. I mean, riddled with mealybugs. I have treated it over and over and over again. And the suckers, they just won't leave. It's had systemics and everything. And I'm not feeling it anymore. The juice has to be worth the squeeze with the plant. And I've had this for years. I've trained a really interesting trunk onto it. I don't know. I think what I'm going to end up doing is either just getting rid of it, or I will defoliate it completely, give it a scrub down, and just start the plant over and see what it does. One thing that is nice, though, is that it does not seem to be bothered by the mealybugs whatsoever, which is shocking. Still growing really well, getting nice, beautiful coloration on the plant, and it's keeping the mealybugs from being on other things. Like I was talking about earlier with those cordylans, with the Fertilizer, how it tends to draw the mealybugs in and helps keep them off of the other plants. There was a vine, this is a milkweed vine, that's a native vine, so I try and not go crazy with pruning those, but it was growing all the way up the trunk of this palm tree. And I pulled that down, and it was, of course, full of whitefly and mealybug, so that's great. That's the only spot where I really noticed it spreading. And then there's a little bit on this coconut, but that's not a big deal. It's not that hard to get the mealies off the coconuts. It's things that have all the intricate branching and everything where it becomes a problem. Look at it. It's just obnoxious at this point, and I'm over it. So, I don't know. This might be the last year we're seeing that plant. We'll just have to see. Give that some time. Another Alocasia down here that didn't need to be planted, but there it is. I think it's nice, though. It does help naturalize the area, right? Moving down, I'm going to not forget to talk about the other thing. This bed has just been beautiful. Patio's really busy right now because I have all these clearance plants that I'm going to get planted up along this fence line here. Hopefully in the next few weeks. I've been waiting forever for the dig right, or whoever it was I called. I called the company to come out and tell me where the lines are. I think they're supposed to be out late October. So this will get done in the fall. I did lose one. Well, almost completely lost one. I don't know why. It was back here. And everything around it's been fine. This one right here, a little bit rough too, but you know, that happens with Thuyas. Sometimes you buy a bunch and you're probably going to lose a few of them. These are the junior giants, so they're going to have a growth habit more similar to a green giant as opposed to like a, you know, just a regular Smarsgard or emerald green. But these will go, I believe, 15 by about 8. Some things say 2 to 3 feet wide, and I don't believe that. I've seen them planted plenty of times where they'll go 15 to 20 feet and more like 8 feet wide, and they're going to go all the way down that fence line. Really excited about that, and it'll look a lot better. That was going to be my point once these things are off the patio. But until then, I don't know. Things are nice and lush and green, which that's always nice. Who doesn't love things nice, lush, and green? The Robellini palm back here, this could use a prune. They're such nice palms because I potted this up several months ago and I stuck it back here. I haven't touched it because it's a Robellini palm. It just doesn't need it. Even during the drought, I was like, you're fine. You're getting overspray from the sprinklers. But I do need to come in and prune that up. Bird of Paradise isn't looking great because we had some storms. This banana. I forgot in the last garden tour to spend much time or any time on it at all. This is a Sycamensis red tiger, and they're being sold now under a new name to like popularize them. I don't remember what it is, but they're much easier to get a hold of now. Hardy red maybe might be what they're calling them. They get a really nice variegation to the tops of the foliage, which doesn't matter when they reach these monstrous sizes. This one, it was planted smaller than this right here. Oh, you can see the red stripage on there. Looks nice, right? Stripage. I say stripage. I heard my grandmother used to say stripage. I don't know if that was an Iowa thing or just my grandma thing. I don't know, but nice red stripes. It was smaller than this when I planted it, and it's, you know, putting up some nice pups on the side, and it's got a good 10 feet of trunk on it. They're a banana with really good proportions, not quite, but pretty close to being as cold hardy as the Bajus. And they have a better form to them. This bed over here, as I mentioned, does stay relatively cold though, so I don't know if it will survive the winter or not, but I thought, hey, why not give it a try? I like the uniformity of having the banana, and it being a different type of banana in that mix too. I just think that, well, that looks very nice, doesn't it? Especially when you get the lutea down in there. It's so great. Everything else on here is just annuals. The Impatiens, these got a cutback. I wasn't sure about that, if you remember, but everything is flushed back out and looks great. I'm really happy about that because sometimes I cut them back and they don't end up returning and looking all that great because I tend to wait too long. They don't have the sun to come back. But if you don't cut them back, then they become stretched out and leggy and look awful by this time of year. So I was able to avoid that by giving them a cut back and just dealing with them not looking great for a few weeks. Look at how great this begonia is looking this year. Also, I didn't plant the Impatiens all the way down here. They self-seed all over the place. A lot of these are coming up from last year. So I don't know if you noticed over there by the gate, when we were over there were Impatiens in the ground. I didn't put those there. This is what they do. They pop up all over the place, and I love that. I think it's so much fun having them pop up around the garden. This begonia, this is from Plant Delights, and it's a begonia grandis that's called Smooch? No, it's not Smooch. First Kiss, maybe? I don't know. It's a cold hardy begonia. It's a perennial type. And this is the best it's ever looked. It's nice and full. I do need, I really need to do this. Hold on. We're going to do this right now. Because I am not monkeying around with this Hosta. Like I said, I didn't plant these Impatiens here. They just self-seeded into this area. But they are blocking all the sunlight from a very special Hosta. It's called Time Traveler Hosta. I want to make sure that that doesn't get smothered out of here because it's a nice Hosta. You can see it. I don't think it was liking being overgrown the way it was. Usually it has really pretty variegation on it. Isn't that beautiful? Really nice variegation. It doesn't look too hot, but had to be done. Had to protect the Hosta. Down here, well, we can go more into that once the tropicals are gone. A lot of this stuff will still be here next year. I put in some clumping bamboos this year, some viburnums, and then I don't know, the other thing I can't think of the name of. I put another one of the thing I can't think of the name of over here too. It'll come to me at some point. It's hard. We're doing the garden tours, keeping your mind sharp with all the different plants. Over here, there's something really weird going on. You see that? It's September. I don't think that this yucca got the memo, but it was supposed to do this a few months ago. This is a shoddy. I can't remember. No, it's a blue... Dang it, I can't remember which yucca this is. Well, it's one that will form a trunk, and it's fairly cold hardy. It has a really nice steely blue color to it. It's not a rostrata. And look at the... It's got an inflow on it, so I guess it means it's happy. Not the right time of year at all, but hey, it's happy. I don't think that's a panic, like I'm gonna die type of flower spike, because, well, it's been growing and it's getting light and it seems good. Oh, the other coconut. Look at it. So stinking cute. We got 1, 2, 3, 4 new fronds on it. And all it took was a repot. And it's so happy. It's nice, thick, sturdy growth. These are going to be much easier to overwinter this year because they got that repot. So it's not going to be as much of a struggle keeping them hydrated. They're still going to be a pain in the butt with spider mites, I'm sure. That's just the way they are. This is just a plain old coconut. The one that was over there, I forgot to mention, is a... it's not a gold Malayan. What is it? Red spicata over there. And the one that was I first showed you, that was a gold Malayan coconut, a dwarf type coconut. Well, you can't even really see it, which is a shame because it's a nice plant. Look at the Thai. The Thai constellation Monsterra. Why are all these lights on? Everything's on a sensor. I don't know. I guess because it's shady over here. I enjoyed having this in this spot this year. Never kept it over here. And this was just perfect. It got a lot of sun earlier in the year, and I wasn't sure how that would play out. But it didn't seem to mind it. The Monsterra, the Deliciosas, at least they can take a good amount of sun. As long as it's not too much in the afternoon, they're typically okay. But you can see it just keeps sprawling all the way back over there. Try and come over here. Go around the corner, maybe get a better look at it. I don't know. Come over here into the pathway. Let my legs get eaten by mosquitoes so we can... Yeah, okay. There'll be a better view of this one once we start pulling things out. It has grown quite a lot this year. I mean, quite a lot. It is, I've said this before, but I really mean it this time. It is time to chop this and replant it because it is just all over the place and it takes up way too much space in the grow room. Though I'd prefer to chop it in the summer and not in the winter time. I don't know. We'll figure that out later. New Hosta. So pretty. Isn't it just beautiful? This is an Empress Wu. So it's still a baby. It's its first year in the ground. I don't expect much out of my Hostas the first year. Next year, it's going to have those big... Isn't that just nice? It's these great big beautiful leaves that are going to sprawl into this whole area with that viburnum behind it. And then these yews are going to start to grow up and do something eventually. They actually put on a good amount of growth this year. Not tons, but some. I'm happy they're there because we all know that laurel hedge is not long for this world. What is it? Oh... I forgot I have that palm tree. I hate that palm tree too. We're gonna have to do a video on that one sometime. I bought it to try it out as an alternative to the Chinese fan palms, and it's no good. They are never happy, at least not with the conditions that I can provide for it. The laurel berm, overall, I do like it this year. I mentioned the last garden tour that I thought it was looking busy with the Alocasias and the caladiums. I planted the caladiums because I thought the Alocasias weren't going to come up, and then the Alocasias came up about a month later. But I also really do like it at the same time. Typically there's just the impatiens in here and then some big leaves from the, I don't think there's any left, there's some. The Petasites, I usually let some of those stay up in the background. And then maybe a row of caladiums or just impatiens and the Petasites. This year I did a lot more because that maple tree had to get a prune. It has some growth problems on it. I was like, well, there's going to be more light, so let's plant more things. Whew, I said that all really, really fast. It does look nice. I will probably try and remember to dig these up and store them dormant. I think it would be smart to do that. Maybe repeat it next year or spread them around to a different area. I can't guarantee this hedge will be here next year because it has just been struggling. I do everything for it that I did for my previous hedge that just grew wonderfully and looked beautiful, but I don't know. These were field dug. I don't know if they came from a different area and they're not adapting well to being here. This will be their third year in the ground. It'll be their third winter that's coming up, and every winter they just look worse and worse. I wrap them. I mean, I'm going above and beyond. These are big shrubs. That is easily 14 feet tall, and I wrap it and put lights on it during the winter time. And, I don't know. I'm just tired of it. I'll do it again this year, and hopefully the U's back here will put on another foot of growth on them, which will only put them at being about this high. But once they're about this high, I'm going to be not as upset about just pulling these out, because I don't like the way they look. They're just always looking like garbage. The old hedge looked great. I don't know. It's the same laurel, skip laurels, but yeah, I don't know. Same water, everything. I've been better about fertilizing. Maybe it's been too much. I don't know. I give them holly tone in the late winter, and again around late May. Maybe I shouldn't have done that, but I did that with my old ones. I don't know. Maybe I gave them too much of it. They're growing fine. It's just the amount of damage they take during the winter isn't being shrouded out by their new growth. You can kind of see through this one, right? So all that brown stuff is mostly from winter. Some of it is drought damage, because there were some times out here where it was nearly triple digits, and I did my best, but you just, they're in a berm. There's only so much you can do. I was shocked that they had drought stress when these guys were fine, but they're closer to the sprinkler system. There's a drip that runs through here, though, so that shouldn't matter. I don't know. I still like them. I think skip laurels are beautiful, but they've been a headache for me, just like these cherry laurels, which I need to dig up. Yeah, they didn't handle the heat and the drought very well. They're on drip. That one was on too much drip, and it drowned. I fixed it, but it was too late. And this one, I don't know what its problem was. It was just too hot, I guess. Whatever. Loser plants, they're not doing well here. This is the other Tepalito Hemiduria. You can see this is one that I was saying needs a repot. I'm going to go ahead and grab this while I'm over here. In fact, I thought it would lift out of the pot, but it didn't. Okay. Pull this out and just set it down over here so I can remember to get that into some fresh soil. But this one, it's just a couple of fronds. They're nice and healthy fronds, though. No pests on them or anything. And now you can get a better look at just what the palm itself looks like. Been great. This is my third summer with them. This will be my third winter coming up. I would recommend to try this one as a house plant because it's been so great. Now down here, I just kind of have things that are sitting around waiting to be planted up. So there's not much to talk about other than these two containers right here, the Adenidia planters. Last look in the garden tours at these Adenidia planters. They did so freaking well this year. Just about everything I put in them thrived. The Lespedeza that's over here started to look kind of crummy, but that's okay. Didn't get a ton of growth out of the Acalyphus either, but all the stuff up here, the canary wing begonia, that nice yellow hue, beautiful. Same thing back here with the Farfugium and the Crossandra. Yeah, they're just nice looking planters. I really enjoy these. I don't know what I'm going to do with them this winter. I used to keep, I don't remember what it's called. It's an evergreen. I have one in the garden over there, but you can't see it because it's hidden by a redbud that's popped up in front of it. Redbuds are native here, so I guess the redbud can stay for now. What was it? I don't know, some kind of juniper I had in these containers, and lost one of them last winter, so we'll figure something else out with them this year. So it'll look nice out here, but they did well. Good amount of growth came out of these. Oh, so much growth. Look how thick the trunks are on these. Really nice bulbous Adenidias. And I've only had these for, well, I guess it'll be their fourth year. This is their fourth summer, I think. Might be their third. I'm pretty sure it's their fourth. And they're troopers, especially considering these get repotted twice a year. So in the spring when they arrive, I take them out of their plastic containers, pop them into these containers, and then when it's time to send them back to the greenhouse, I pull them out of these containers. I'm not sending these to the greenhouse. They don't guarantee pottery. They break those, they're not replacing them. So I pot them up into a plastic container to go off to the greenhouse. And they just take it like a champ, which is great. This year I found a pot for one of them that one fit into. So it's faux planted. I should, in theory, be able to just lift it out of there. I'm sure it won't be that easy. I'm sure it's rooted down into the bricks and the heavy stuff at the bottom. These do have weight in the bottom because they'll blow over. They're very top heavy. So that might be an issue. This one I do have to pull out and completely repot it. Which is just part of it. Look at that Alocasia. So pretty. This is a very good Fridex. I'll make sure to pull those and save them for next year. Garden in this area is just looking great too. Lots of weeds, but that's okay. You know, that's just part of having a garden. Always gonna have some weeds. Firelight Tidbit in the front and Quickfire Fab in the back, I believe. I'm not positive. And I have these Brugmansias here in the front, and they just seem happy as can be. I have an old spent flower on one of them. Look at that. The way that's grown. Pretty weird growth habit to it. But they've been fine here. I haven't had to water these at all. It's been the perfect spot because I have a sprinkler up here that hits them. I have not had to hand water these one time since I moved to this spot. I don't think it looks that nice having them right here. That's a lot easier on me because when you do water them, it takes a ton. They are very, very, very thirsty plants. Oh yeah, this guy that I can never remember the name of. Looking good. Gingers. This is their first year. The Zingiber Silver Arrow and White Feather on each side. They look good. Succulent planter. I moved over to this side because it wasn't getting enough sun. You can see all the sedums and things were starting to rot out on the other side. There's not much sun on the other side of the steps. Look at those flowers. Looking great. And then the Alocasias. Aren't they just stunning? I love them. I'm glad I overwintered them last year because they got so big last year. Last summer they got so big that I was like, oh, I'll take them out and overwinter them. I've overwintered them plenty of times. I know what to do with them. And then plant them back out this spring. But the thing is, they reach a certain size where they hang out in that size range. So they still got really big, but this is about as big as they were last year too. That was when they were just, $15 plants that were in 10-inch pots that I threw into the ground. I didn't have to take care of them during the winter time. Not sure what I'm going to do with that. Here we go. This is the Lespedeza, and it is in its full flipping glory right now. Look at this. So pretty. I complain about it every year, and then I also simultaneously talk about how much I love it. Because it takes up too much path space. But I dug up a clump of it from the front this year, moved it. It's on the other side of the yard now. And this one came up from behind it, and I put some straps in to help hold it back. So you still got to walk around it some, but that's really not until, I don't know, mid-September. And you just have this fountain of color this goes on for weeks. So it started doing this mid-August. It's flowered a little bit earlier in the year. It's flowered like little pink flowers sporadically, but they put on this show this time of year, and it is just phenomenal. Looks like I have a little bit of chlorosis in here, so I need to come back here with some iron and probably some nitrogen too. So I don't do much amending back there. Lespedezas typically shouldn't need it, but there's a little bit of that. And it usually gets a little bit of that every year towards October-ish. It's just stunning. So much color. It's not really fragrant. Something over here smells sweet, but I assume that's just something coming from the green stock. I also don't usually stick my face in here because there's almost always bees all over this thing. Let me sniff. No, I don't smell anything. It's a Japanese bush clover, right? That's what Lespedeza is. Really versatile. I believe this is hardy to zone 5, maybe 4. I'm pretty sure it's zone 5. And like I said, this is a Thunbergii. The variety is called Volcano because it... Wait, is this the Volcano? Forget everything I just said. I don't know. I just know it's a Thunbergii. And there is a variety called Volcano. And this might be it, but I don't remember. It has a weeping habit, so it's best planted up on a slope. There are varieties, cultivars you can get that don't have the same weeping habit and stay smaller. Like, I'm pretty sure there's one called Little Volcano. That would be a good option for a smaller garden space. Pollinators go insane for it. It does spread a little bit. But this cultivar, whatever it was, I can't remember its name, isn't like other Lespedezas that can just take over. I get occasional pieces coming up. I've had this in the ground for well over probably 12, 15 years, and I've never had to pull one up from some random location. I dug a chunk up and moved it, and then a piece of it survived and came back. And I do get, there's some little bits, just little things that come up, but it never amounts to anything. But that probably is something to keep in mind. Depending on where you live, look them up, make sure they aren't invasive. But if you can grow a Lespedeza, I would highly suggest it, because they just add so much color to the garden. They don't look like much until, I'd say, late August into September, depending on your growing zone. But once they color up, it's worth the wait. It's completely worth the wait. And it's really nice, because you just don't get this kind of a show from many perennials this time of year. There are some, like Caryopteris, which I talked about in another video. I'm thinking about planting up Caryopteris in the front of this garden bed over here and just topping with the Tradescantia. I think that would look nice and be perennial. That might be fun. But just not a ton that put on that kind of a show outside of like your asters and echinaceas, rudbeckias, those sorts of things. It's really pretty color. Green stalks, they're fine. There's not much to say. They need some water, but they're okay. I planted this container up, I don't know, several weeks ago. This is a crab apple prairie fire, I believe, right? Oh, no, coral burst. I always do that. Every single time. It's a coral burst. Whatever. I think the other ones are prairie fire down there with the red. This will be over there by the house when the tropicals are gone. Underplanted it with this new gen boxwood. I believe that this is an Independence. a Sunjoy Barbary for some nice red color, a Carex right here. It has a really nice weeping habit, looks great at the front of the pot. And there's also an anemone back there, a flower, and some Kufia towards the front. The Shadow Storm, I remembered it, Ipomia. Here's a better look at that. So this one was planted up about 2 weeks before that other one you saw. So just imagine if this had been planted up at the beginning of the growing season. What a show that would put on. It has nice cool tones to it. I don't jump for things with that brown foliage all that often, but this one, I guess it's just the way it mixes in with that green, especially when it goes into play over here with the Petunia Vista Cool Jazz. I really like this pairing. Not necessarily the Kufia. The Kufia is just in there because I had it and I needed to get it planted. But these plants right here together, I really like the way they look. Because like I said, it's cooling. There's something about it that makes me feel like, oh, it's not so hot out. I don't know why. I guess because it's the tones of shade. They're tones that I feel like I would see when I'm walking around the park in the shade. Does that make sense? But it's not the shade. These are getting lots of sun. But yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. I really like that Petunia Vista Cool Jazz. I'll be planting more of those next year. Probably not a ton because it's a tone that doesn't necessarily fit with everything out here, but there will be more of it. Because, it's, like I said, it's a tone that I like to have out here. Okay, I said I'd mention what went wrong with the drip this year. I had mentioned when working on other drip projects this year that the next step, and the hose is still over there, was to run a drip behind everything over here and tap it into my in-ground irrigation. That's how everything else is watered out here. I have a drip line that runs behind everything along this wall, goes back down through that berm and over to that zone of drip irrigation underneath the Alexander palm. Been working great, but it can only handle things that are along the perimeter, and then a couple things. I have a hose run out here to this Gossia palm, and then to those Alpinia Zarembits that are down there. They get a lot of water. Speaking of water, that was overwatered. I don't know how. There's a hole in the pot so that it can't be overwatered. It's a self-watering container. I don't know. Those things just happen. Sometimes you win with the plant, sometimes you lose. That one, I lost. So I was going to tap in a drip from this area over into this zone. The problem is there's not an easy place, or not even that there's not an easy place. I can't even find a good spot, period, to tap into that irrigation. So I was thinking, okay, well, what I can do is I can run a line behind everything, underneath the steps, and over to the faucet over here. If that would work, that'd be fine. It'd be totally fine. And then I could even just continue that all the way down, split it into two different zones. Have a zone to water that bed over there with a drip, and then a zone to water everything over here with drip. It'll only take 2 zones. Maybe a third that I'd run to the driveway, but I don't think I need to. Everything did fine over there without drip. One side has drip, one side doesn't. We don't need to get into all that, but we will see. But the problem is everything is too big at this point. Even 3 months ago, everything was too big and just too full for me to want to, or even be able to get back behind everything and get a drip line run without really having to trample on some plants, and I just didn't want to do it. And I'm not going to be able to run a line underneath the staircase with all these plants right here. So I was actually thinking that this might be a good fall project to get the line run. Not necessarily set the drip up on it, but just get the line run. Get it underneath here, get it back behind this wall, so that I already have something ready to tap into next year. Because like I said, I already have the line out. It's uncoiled, it's in the garden bed. It looks garbagey. I need to do something with it. So yeah, once the banana's been trimmed back and perennials are smushed down, I can run it back along everything and do things that way. I think it'll make life a lot easier next year. I have spent so much time watering. I've always been a big advocate for drip, and I had to pull up all my drip a few years ago when I had the whole patio resurfaced. And I just never got around to putting it all back in place. I decided to try new things, like tapping on that irrigation line so I don't have timers all over the place. And I have loved that, but I never got anything set back up again. It's been 2 years now over here. This will be the 2nd year. And I don't like it. Things grow faster on drip, and they give me peace of mind, too, is a big part of it. I just have peace of mind of going, oh, I don't have to spend 3 hours watering today when it's 110 degrees outside. I can turn the drip on. Though even when it's going to be 103 or 5, anything over 94, I usually soak them out and do a light hand watering just to help keep the surface of the soil nice and cool, because the drip only does so much if you don't have a lot of annuals or something planted around the surface of the soil to help shade it. But it's a different type of watering. It's just like, here's a quick spritz, and then you move on, you let the drip handle the deep soak. You know what I mean? Oh, my battery's about to die. All right, well, that's pretty much anything. That's everything anyways, and I can no longer speak. So yeah, I hope everybody's doing well, having a great day, great life, and it's just going absolutely beautifully for you. What's going on in your gardens? Hopefully fun things moving into fall now. I know I'm a few days ahead of September, but I had to because the palm tree, I don't know when the palm trees are going to be picked up, so that's why this video is coming out now. Sometime the week after this video comes out, they'll be picking everything up and be doing all kinds of new things out here. Still some exciting things I would like to talk about. Like I said, this battery is going to die and I don't have a spare charge, which I usually do, but I don't. Look at the Ethelander. It's got some flowers on it finally. I can't do that. Okay, as always, and most importantly, everybody, keep on growing. Bye.